Welcome to another edition of Journeys of Hope. Tonight, we're going to be joined by one of our presenters who will be joining us on the 2020 cruise, Vanessa Poster. Vanessa became a widow when her husband Morgan died in November 7, 2015. And today, for those of you who don't know, we're actually recording the day before that. So just wanted to say our hearts are with you, Vanessa.
Thank you.
You're going to be sharing with us what your presentation will be on the cruise, and that is The Right Way, Writing Through Grief. So why don't you talk to us a little bit about that and what people might expect with that?
Thank you. Yeah, Morgan died 4 years ago tomorrow. So it's one of those things that I've noticed in teaching my classes that these anniversaries clump. It's our wedding anniversary is October 26th. He died November 7th, and my birthday is November 12th. So this sort of thing happens with a lot of people where there are a bunch of things that happen at the same time of the year. And through the writing, I have found that it's a really great way to deal with my own grief and to help other people deal with their grief. And the class is called The Right Way, Using the Written Word to Heal. And the way that I do the class, and it's going to be interesting on the cruise because everybody will be having lots of different kinds of experiences dealing with their grief, dealing with a group, dealing one-on-one, being in a different environment. There's going to be a lot happening in people's brains around their grief and experiencing that grief. And what I find that my class does is it provides a different framework for people to process the grief. One of the things that we do in the class, we start with a small group discussion just to one-on-one with somebody else in the class to kind of tell your story out loud using verbal words. Then we do a meditation. We go internal by yourself to calm and center yourself. Then we do a prompt where I give people some sentences to start with, some thoughts or ideas to write about. And then we just spent some time writing. And then we share. And the idea is that when you are doing something solitary in a group of people, it's a different experience than a group, a support group where you're talking, everybody's sharing, or even a lecture where somebody's speaking to you and you're listening, or you're asking questions, or you're interacting in different ways. We're going to have meditation and Reiki on the cruise. We're going to have other kinds of activities and crafts, different ways of interacting. But when you are in a solitary place, but surrounded with other people who are also conducting the same activity, it's very different. And it's a little bit like prayer in a church. You think about when you're at church or at temple and you're praying, you are in yourself, you are praying, but everybody else around you is doing the same thing. So it creates a very healing environment for people. And it's support, it's a safe space to share feelings as they come up. It uses a different part of the brain. And one of the things that I found in the writing class that I've done over time, because I have a lot of people who come back each month to the class, is that we all have our stories. What is it that happened to you in your grief? This person that you cared for, that you loved, you have a particular relationship with them, and then they die. What was their death experience? Was it sudden? Was it cancer? Like my husband died of cancer. It was a 9-month process of treatment and all of these just horrible things that happened over time. And then the death experience itself. There's a lot of stories in there. There's a lot of things to tell other people. There's a lot of things to share. And primarily, there's a lot of things to process. And what happens, what I've learned, for me, personally, what happens with grief and what I've seen in some of my students is there's that period of time, whatever it is for you, after the grief incident happens, where you really can't absorb everything that happened. It's too much. It's horrible, and it's too much. So the story that you tell has certain elements to it. And then as you tell that story over time, it changes, it grows, it gets different dimensions as your own brain learns how to process those different experiences, and they become more and more real to you. You get out of that shock that numbness, that fog into reality, into your real world. You start feeling things again, and then you can feel more about what happened to you in the past. So writing the story helps you to process that story over time and heal through the absorption of your own story, through the telling of it. So that's what we do in the class.
I really like the fact that you talk about the writing as a ritualistic experience. I hadn't really thought of writing in a ritual nature, but I like that the concept of the group writing and the ritual aspect of it.
I have found that to be very true with the experience of creating the space, the safe space for people to write. So as the instructor, I don't write while other people are writing. I am consciously holding a space for people that is safe. I walk around the room, I make sure people are writing, I give them little hints if they need help, and I create a space for them. And over and over and over again, I see this kind of magical energy happen in a room where everybody is silent and processing internally as they write. And you can hear the scratching of the pen on paper with the different people. And something beautiful happens in that interaction that doesn't happen when you're writing by yourself. It doesn't happen when you're talking. It's a different experience entirely that I think provides that other level of healing that is so valuable in my class.
Well, I think one of the things you mentioned there, I was just talking with Dina Martin earlier tonight. She'll also be one of our guests on our cruise. And she and I were talking about the importance of rituals in grief. And one of the topics that we kind of came up with was that that kind of symbolic creation of a safe space really being part of what is probably the key element to the success of any grief group. All of the other pieces can take on different flavors and different pieces, but that safe space is where people feel comfortable allowing themselves to get to that level of emotion that
Yeah.
is. And then the added I guess avenue of that is the writing and having the I guess almost a two-way communication with yourself in some way.
Yeah. And the other thing that happens that's really interesting to me is the connection that people make with their own self-talk. I talk a lot about negative self-talk in my classes because people are mean to themselves, and they can be very mean to themselves, especially around their writing. So what I say in class, my only rule in class, and there is a $5 fine, there is no negative self-talk out loud. You cannot say mean things about yourself out loud, but you can write about it. Because once you write about it and you put it on paper, you put it outside of yourself. You make art out of it. And my class is about making art out of the pain. And that process of everybody thinks that what they've written is really bad. Everybody thinks that. And it's a first draft. You just did it, 20 minutes. We were sitting together, you wrote 20 minutes. It's nothing. It's scribbles on a piece of paper. But the thing is, you read it, and something about what you read connects with somebody else in the class. There's a feeling, there's a word that you use, there's a situation you describe where somebody else will go, oh my God, that's my experience. And so you have that other level of connecting with people. So you have that solitary thing in the group, the safe space, and then you have that processing of the brain in a different place, and then you have that connection with the people listening to you so that people can hear what you've written and relate to it. And it gives the writer such satisfaction where they understand that they've touched somebody else with their words. And it's just a very powerful, wonderful experience. Looking forward to having all of you in class.
I think that's really powerful too. One of the thoughts that comes to my mind, though, that I'm curious as to what you would say to someone is, you're right. I think that even the greatest writers feel that their initial writing is not good. but some people really have, had pretty negative experiences. They don't, the quality of their writing isn't, they're never going to write the great American novel. However, it sounds to me like that's not really the point of the writing that you're having them do. So what would you say to someone who is, thinking that, that may really not be their skill set, but how would this work for someone who is, able to, obviously able to write, but maybe not on that other level?
Annie Lamott says it a lot. Everybody writes shitty first drafts. And that's all we're doing in this class is we're all writing our shitty first draft. And when I give you a prompt, when you have that conversation with somebody, when you do the meditation, it's all in a way setting you up for success. It's setting you up with the words to begin with before you even begin. And it's a way to make that first draft a quality for everyone, because everybody's sharing the same experience of feeling that what they've written is not so good. And then hearing what somebody else reads and realizing that if you're reading, let's say there's 10 people in the class, you're reading, you think it's bad. The 9 other people think, oh my God, that person just read something so wonderful. Mine is going to be really bad. 90% of the people in the class think that piece was great. You're the 10%, you're the minority. And that's the support and the power of the kind of group that I help people create in that setting, where it is a safe space. Whatever you write will touch someone. And you're doing it for yourself. You're doing it for that healing. And that's the wonderful process that comes out of it.
Well, I look forward to participating in this. I think it'll be a very healing experience, as you say. So if someone wanted to get in touch with you, how would they go about doing so?
They can contact me through my email, which is on the website. It's vanessa@vipconsultingpartners.com. And I do classes online. I do classes over the phone. I do one-on-one sessions with people anywhere in the country. So people can work with me before if they would like to. If they're in the South Bay area of Los Angeles, they can come to my class, which is once a month on a Saturday at the Gathering Place in Torrance, California. And you can contact me to find out when the next classes are over the next couple of months before we get on the cruise.
So it just hit me. VIP, is that Vanessa and I'm guessing a middle initial?
Vanessa Irene Poster, VIP. Exactly.
Consulting, okay.
I'm an only child and my parents thought ahead, so.
Excellent. Hey, no, it works out perfectly. So thank you so very much. I look
You're
forward
welcome. Thank you. Look forward to meeting you in person.